Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Doctors Living Deliberately. Hi, Arpita. How's everything going today?
That's good, Michael Hersh. How you doing?
I am doing great, and I am so excited to introduce to you our next guest. So today we have Dr. Nupi Arora. She is a general practitioner and family medicine physician out of Manchester, England, and she also goes by the name the Glitter Practitioner. And I'm excited to ask her more questions about that. She is also a burnout warrior, a spiritual and transformational life coach. She's a public speaker, and she has not one, but two live stream shows on LinkedIn, Live with the Glitter Practitioner and their Supernova Sisters. Please help me welcome Dr. Nupi Arora. Hi, Dr. Nupi.
Oh, hi, Michael. It's so lovely to see you. Hi, Arpita. It's gorgeous to meet you. And thank you both for inviting me onto your podcast. I am honored to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. We're glad that you're here with us. And I'm just going to jump in with a funny story of what just happened with us. We were recording, and me and my blunt ass self was just like, shut it down. I can hear some jingling. And Nupi's earring was hitting the little what do you call these things? Headphone wire. Yeah, the AirPod wire. And so that's what was making the noise. But then she went into this beautiful explanation. And I would love for you to just start with that, Nupi.
Of course. Bless you. No problem. I've been wondering a while, the jingles, because on my live stream show, when I hear it back, I can hear this noise and I'm like, I wonder where that's coming from. It must be just from the universe. No, I knew it was something. I couldn't figure it out. And when you said that, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's my earring, which was banging. And the jingle jangles. Well, the name of my book is Be You with Bells On, which is what I said to my therapist when I had come through burnout and was ready to go back into work. And we were just talking about, I'm better, I'm me again, is what I said. And I was like, sack that. I'm more than just me again. I'm me with bells on. So that's where this tagline came from. That's 12 years ago. And it stayed ever since. And I knew that was going to be the name of my book. It kind of depicts everything that I do, be it my podcast, my book, coaching program, all of it. And there's another meaning to it, which I think it was meant to be. This name is my first name. Means, so the way you pronounce my first name is Nupur, but if anybody says that, it's kind of like, or the anglicized version is Nupa, but I've always been called Nupi. All my close friends call me Nupi, so I am Nupi. But the meaning of that means tinkling of the bells. And when my clients finish a coaching, I'm obsessed with making capiz shell wind chimes with crystals. I love my creative stuff. And when my coaching clients finish their program, I do a very small, not as big as that, a handmade little capiz shell thing, and just sign it with the date that they've completed it as a remembrance that when people are going through the funk or whatever and they're using the F list, it's a reminder that I'm with you and to go back into the F list because my energy's there, and that's what I've shared and taught through the coaching program. So
love that. Such a cool explanation. So meaningful. So I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I would love to be a client. little token afterwards. Oh my God. So Nupi, it's interesting that you said that. My same thing. The people who know me well, they know me by my nickname. It's Uppy. But I would love for you to tell us a little bit about how you actually recognized that you were no longer living with intention per se, and what you did from there. How did you discover coaching, and tell us a little bit about that part of your story?
Sure. Wow. Okay. So I've always been drawn into medicine, always. And that has been from a pretty young age. And I guess growing up, I've always been quite sensitive, but I'm a chatterbox. I love people. I am a people's person, and I am nosy. And all of this really is professional curiosity in medical speak. But it was a natural thing for me to go into general practice. I knew that's where I wanted to be. And even, 20 odd years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I always knew it's more than, I've always been curious to know what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on behind that person, their life, in how their health issues are playing out. It's their experience of what it is to be human. So that's me. I mean, I've always been quite holistic, and loving what I do. I'm following my purpose. And then I'm a GP. I was a GP partner. So I've been a doctor. I've been within the NHS for 25 years. I've been a GP partner for 17 of those. So this is the mainstay of my profession. And I'd had twins, and I think they must have been, I returned to work when they were 8 months old. And initially I was like, okay, I can do this. I can be the mummy. I can be the doctor. I can do my clinics. I can do this. Underneath it all, I was sort of a bit overwhelmed. But because of back then, I was still a perfectionist. I am now a reformed one. I was like, no, I can do this, and just kept pushing through. And the back bit of the story was that the partnership was very stressful. 2 senior partners were reducing their sessions, retiring. We had a new person come through. At home, my husband was going through a lot of stress with setting up his own business, and there was a lot of pressure and tension left, right, and center. And I just didn't give myself a break. I was just, okay, no, I have to prove myself very strongly. And slowly but surely, because of my character strengths, I guess, my skills, determination, absolutely, rock solid, I can do this. This is what we've been trained to do. I kept pushing until, and I was getting physical symptoms, aches and pains, not sleeping. I put it down to the twins being babies, and I'm having interrupted sleep, for example. And my body was talking to me even then, and I was kind of ignoring it. And I remember just feeling completely exhausted, frazzled. I mean, I love the word frazzled. Frazzled, actually, the way it sounds is actually the meaning, which is utter emotional, physical, spiritual exhaustion. And it was just getting harder and harder to be that energy source, to be this, as people describe me and my husband did, as this radiant sunflower of energy, and people just gravitate towards that. I couldn't put the mask on any longer. I was literally disappearing in front of my eyes. And the only way I can describe it is, I remember my husband saying, you are this radiant sunbeam to other people, and la la la. And I'm looking at him going, can you not see inside me? I'm an absolute weed. I'm literally nothing. I'm a shriveled up mess. And I just was on autopilot. And then a couple of other things happened, which made me stop and go, okay, I'm so not okay. But it took me it was an insidious thing. It was 3 to 4 years. And all I can describe it was just this black hole of this. And there was it was like a track on repeat of name, shame, blame constantly. This is what I was feeling and thinking. And I just didn't know myself anymore. And that's when I allowed myself to crash and burn, because the thoughts were getting a bit scary. I was like, what's the point? What actually is the point? And that's what made me kind of stop. I was imagining things, and I'm like, not that I would ever have done anything, but the fact that I was that broken, it was just this somebody slapping me in the face going, okay, you need to get some help now. Wow. And that's when I knew I'm not following what I'm meant to be following. I didn't even know who I was anymore, to be very honest. And it was only when I stopped, then I realized, holy moly, what the hell? But it took time to come through that. So Yeah, it was the worst time of my life. And it was also, it sounds really weird, it was also my blessing, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change it for anything. I needed that in order for me to grow, wake up, learn, evolve, pass it on to my patient community, which I've done for the last 10 years. And I wouldn't change it for anything.
Wow.
So even though at the time it was really, my soul was just broken. I didn't know spirituality then. Subconsciously, I did. Consciously, no, I didn't. And that's why I had to go through that. And it was just after that, it's just been one blessing, and it's just amazing. It's incredible. I live and breathe what I share. I live and breathe what it is I guide other people with. And I've practiced it in clinical practice for the last 10, 12 years, 10, 11 years, I should say, on the ground, day in, day out with my cohort of patients. And I love what I do. It just lights me up. It totally lights me up. It always has. But that's the beauty of this, when you combine whole person, heart-centered care, which is the learnings I learned, which is what I'm sharing. You combine that with the science of medicine, that's the transformations I see. And I'm living proof of it, as my patients are and as my clients are. And oh, I could talk about this for hours. So please just interrupt me. I will not mind. I
Well,
do. I just love what I do.
What I was going to ask you about was, so I mean, that sounds like an incredibly dark time.
It was.
But what talk to us a little bit about the process, like what took you through this transformation, and how did you find your way through it?
That's a beautiful question. So I found myself from that space of not knowing who I am, not recognizing myself, thinking I'm a piece of, and I'm worthless, to allowing myself to accept that help, from acknowledging I'm a million miles from okay, I'm so not okay, and accepting that it's okay, I need this help for now. Because I was still a perfectionist then, I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the people who are here to support me. I'm going to be the bestest patient. I'm going to listen to every single word. I'm not going to mess up here. And I remember my specialist saying to me, and it's what I reiterate when I see patients or clients, if we are going to do this, let's do it properly. There's no point just dipping your toe in, coming back out. The number of medics I see who won't accept the help or will only go so far because it's a sign of weakness and all of this. And I'm going, not me. I'll be the perfect patient. But that was a huge part to play when I finally accepted and allowed and acknowledged it all and took action. Because I was still a highly functioning perfectionist, I'd already booked my appointments with therapists, and it was schema therapy that I had, which was 12ish years ago now. And that was the first section of how I was starting to get better, and treatment. So it was a combination of SSRIs, antidepressants, anxiolytics. And that took me a while to accept. I remember it. I had the prescription in my hand and I was like, really? Really? And I remember calling my best friend and I was like, okay, I've just been to the GP. They want to do this. Really? Am I really? And even I do this for other people, no problem. There was a barrier almost in me going, I need this treatment, seriously? And she just said to me, Nupi, you've not been okay for a while. Listen to what they're saying. And that's the only time. And I was like, you're right. So I did. It was that with the combination of the in-depth work, it's not just the treatment. I was that bad, I needed it, it's fine. But it's the understanding of your needs. And at the point of that burnout, I had no idea what my needs even were. And it was from that understanding what my needs are, recognizing them, going back to the basics of your baseline human needs, understanding, know thyself is what I learned from where these coping strategies had come from. That perfectionism, unrelenting standards is not healthy. But the majority, I would say, of physicians who go into this profession, you have to have some element of hard work, determination, etc., etc. All the beautiful qualities that make us the physicians that we are, the compassion, the empathy, tuning in, the knowledge base, it takes time. That's why it's like a 10 years to get to where you want to be. But that can be a double-edged sword as well if you are putting other needs first, always, or people-pleasing, which is, I need to be like this, I'm fearful of rejection, I'm fearful of failure. All of these things play a part. And I think once you understand that shadow self almost, recognize it for what it is, know how to keep it quieter, tuning into yourself, that's when you can navigate things that are going on. And I knew none of this. This is not taught in medical school. I knew none of this until I had to crash and burn. And so that was the journey, the process that I took. Alongside that, as I'm slowly starting to get better, somebody had recommended a book to me, The Celestine Prophecy, and I'm reading it and I'm like, it's a light bulb going off, energy and this. And I'm like, oh my God, I get it. And there was something to do with inner child healing, and one thing led to another, and I'm starting to notice more, and I'm reading more and absorbing. The work I was doing with my schema therapist was akin to an inner child healing per se. And then I started pulling things together, going, it's not just mind body, it's mind body soul needs. And I get better. I took the 5 months out. And when I returned back into practice, I had this light bulb knowing of, I'm going to share exactly what I've just been through, what I've learned, how I've put it into practice for myself, coupled with all the learning over the last 10 and 11 years, I've tweaked it obviously, and give that back into my community, because the conventional medical model, there's nothing wrong with it. We need it. But you're missing half a trick if you're not looking at that whole person. And that's what I've always done subconsciously. Now, given my experience, learnings, the knowledge gained, the skills, that's what I did. And that's how I, A, came through, and B, passed it on, which was the foundation, the inspiration for my F list, actually. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I think even just listening back to how you first described your story with that eloquence, that it took 3 to 4 years before you really recognized something was wrong. And I think that is very, very common amongst a lot of physicians. We don't know that we think it's something with our health. We think it's, we don't recognize what's actually wrong. It's just, we're done. We're fried.
Yes.
You mentioned the F list. Can you speak a little bit about what that is? Because I'm not familiar with that, actually.
I would love to share that with you. Yes, indeed. Oh my God. So and this is how I would say to patients. So the F list is a framework. I call it my holistic prescription to keeping your needs in balance. It's to help. It's a framework that somebody else can use. It's simple, it's easy to navigate. And that's what you need when you're going through stuff like this. It's not simple. That's the whole process. It's not easy. But if we simplify it into a way where it becomes manageable, which is why I've called it my holistic prescription. This stuff is on my Dr. N. Arora's prescription for a reason. You've got to follow it to the T, basically. So it's how I describe this is it's understanding your whole self-health needs. The core foundation to health and well-being is the balance of your mind, your body, and your soul needs. So physical health, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. All of these are interlinked. You can't have one without the other. It's like a seesaw. So if one's off kilter, the other is going to follow. So what do I mean by these needs? These are your baseline human needs. So the first 3 F's on my F list, I'm not going to swear, don't worry, Michael, are all about reminding yourself to zone in on your needs. And the reason the first F is actually my favorite, not because it's a swear word, but because of the power behind it. And actually there is science behind swearing. It's the whole point.
I mean, go ahead and share it.
God, can I? Please, because it sounds weird. Fuck off.
There you go.
Thank you. I can't do my F list without fuck off, quite frankly. Yes. So for that, exactly. And it's so powerful because the science behind this of swearing, that it kind of like, it's almost like a defib. It goes like this and stops the brain from going into that chronic stress and, oh my gosh, threat mode, and cascades everything down so you're ready to fear, to freeze or fly or whatever. It stops that just for that enough time for you to do number 2, which is they always come together. It's not just going around going, yeah, F off to people. It's to remind you to tune into your needs. Second one, which goes hand in hand, focus and breathe. You have that power to stop this response that's going on in your brain, all the thoughts and all this, oh my God, I can't do it. Oh no, F off. Box breathing, 4 cycles. You can slow time down. You can freeze time, actually. And you gain that pause. And that is so powerful because it gives you a broader perspective. You're still in it allows you to respond instead of knee-jerk react, oh my God, and then run away with your thought cycle. And this is all to do with the neuroscience of stress response and all that, the amygdala and your primitive brain. So your breath work helps to keep things here as opposed to high alert. It keeps your perspective expanded and it helps you to tune in to the parts of your brain that can problem solve still, as opposed to, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, or freeze, or just do something really rash, for example. So the focus and the breathe come hand in hand with the first one.
And before you move on, I just want to, for our listeners who may not be familiar with this type of breath work, you referenced box breathing. And so I just wanted to provide for our listeners a little bit of a very quick tutorial. I am not an expert on this.
I am.
You are. Do you want to share with how to do a box breath?
Yes, I do, because this is what I do with my patients there and then in the consultation. So the breathing I'm talking about, thank you, Michael, I should have actually said that, it's the breathing that you do with meditation, if you know what that is. If not, if you imagine a box, square box, 4 corners, breathing in through the nose, we can do it now actually, for a count of 3 to 4, and then hold for a few seconds, and then breathe out through your mouth, a longer exhale, pause for a couple of seconds, take a deep breath in through the nose for a count of maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds, pause, hold for a couple of seconds, breathe out, 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe in for a count of 2 to 3, pause, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, 4, and then the last cycle. So you do the 4 corners of a box, and you can activate that at any time. And that takes less than a minute. But when you start doing this, 1 minute can feel like 10. Somebody can do a little bit longer and it feels like 20 minutes at least. And that's what keeps the whole system right here. So you are still in respond mode. You've still got the faculties going to make decisions, to make choices, to consider options, for example. So I hope that's enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will say, again, not an expert on breath work. And this was not something I was aware of before finding coaching. But what I will say is it's incredible once you become aware of this, when you start to notice, like when you are frustrated or anxious or overwhelmed, how frequent it is for us to start breath holding. So we stop breathing. Right. And when you can refocus, as you were saying, your second F, focus and breathe. So when you can focus and then look at your breath work, do some of that box breathing that you were just referencing, the difference it can make, and how I'm going to let you then move on with your third F and see how all of these things are intertwined and how they lead in. So I will pass it back to you. So why don't you tell us about the third F?
So the third F, which goes with these are probably the most important ones, actually. So the third one is flip, which is all about perspective. So it's almost like if I had my glasses on, say, and everything's really blurry and I can't really see and it's just all foggy and I'm foggy, my brain's foggy. It's almost like you take them off, you give them a polish, you put them back on, you're seeing with a different lens. And that's what I mean by perspective. So what you thought was perhaps negative and foggy and, oh my God, confusing, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I can see metaphorically, I can see clearly again. I can see clearly again from here. All of a sudden, I've got different options. So it's not to be like a Pollyanna positive or anything. It's looking for what appears to be a negative thought or a critical thought. What else is this showing me? Let's look at the flip side. What else could this mean? And it's applying what we learn through our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, and examining them with curiosity instead of criticism. And just look at the evidence. Where's the evidence that thought and feeling is actually true? So it's a challenge of your negative self-beliefs, your negative thought patterns, but you have to recognize it first. So the F off, focus, breathe, and then the flip. There's always a flip side to what you think is happening, and it's the reminder. Notice the feeling, notice the thought, name it for what it is. Let's take some of its power away. It's a thought, it's a feeling. It will also pass. And reframing it. How else could I look at this? What else could this show me? Where is the evidence that this thought is actually, it's valid, it's true. There isn't any usually. F it off, go through the rest of the list, come back to center again. Those three are probably the most important because it's the more in-depth work, especially the flip, which I spend more time with. I'm just doing it quickly today. Then your physical health needs: food, fluids, fresh air. Food, it's not rocket science. You eat crap, you're going to feel like crap. Eat the right food, eat the right amounts, eat what you need as your body needs it for fuel. That's how our organs, that's how we function. In that, this is particularly with patients, say, for example, it can highlight issues with undereating because of self-esteem and body images, or overeating. So I always ask, why are you eating? Are you hungry? Or are you blocking something because actually I'm just feeling really stressed out? Oh my God, I'll just have 20,000 chocolates. Because I know I do that, not 20,000. But it's a stress response. So I'm like a comfort eater. And then all of a sudden I'm feeling, okay, let's look at what we're doing. So it's the behavior behind the action. Fluids, water, hydration, not alcohol. If you're feeling under par, not okay, you don't need anything else to make you feel worse. Alcohol at the end of the day is a depressant and it's addictive. and you really don't need anything else that's going to make you worse. And again, this is more with my patient cohorts as well, and relative to clients. Again, alcohol, it's a coping mechanism, which is not the healthiest. It might have served you till now, but using alcohol to help you sleep, to calm you down, you're going to enter into this cycle perhaps of needing more, and let's not go down that slippery slope. Just be aware of it. Fresh air is all about exercise, really, movement. So fresh air itself, it's beautiful fresh walk, always blows the cobwebs away kind of thing. It's connecting back with nature as well. The exercise movement for your body releases all those beautiful endorphins. It's a natural counterbalance to the, oh no, oh my God, everything's going wrong. And it's just doing the things that you love doing. You don't have to go and do a marathon or anything. Just a walk in the park, for example. Choose something you love to do, essentially.
I'll say that's for me personally, like when it was mostly during COVID, I remember when we shut the office down, it was just that feeling of, I need to stop and just get a breath of air. Like the depression, because you can sense it coming in.
Yes.
Going outside for 5 minutes just to feel
beautiful.
Totally
feeling. It's feeling the wind on your face, and it's connecting again. It's connecting to the bigger, wider world, which is coming later on the F list. And you notice the sounds outside. It's all about mindfulness, really, but it's connecting with things and take it in, and it makes you feel better, gives you a different perspective.
Completely.
The next couple of F's are about the emotional side of things. So this is two of my favorites again, fun and friends. So by fun, I mean, remember the hobbies that perhaps you did as a kid. And as a child, you are there's no restrictions. You can, if you think you're going to be a mermaid fairy, go for it. There's no boundaries to what you possibly could be. And you kind of lose that. Obviously, I don't want to be a mermaid fairy now. Of course I don't. But it's that childlike wonder almost. And it's the hobbies that make you, fill your heart with joy and make your heart sing. And it's the quiet time stuff. So where you can go into a zone and just be in flow, essentially. And it could be drawing, writing. Everybody's unique here, and it's what suits you. This is the bit where you get to taper the F list to yourself. And the biggest thing I get, sort of the challenge that comes up here is, but Dr. Arora, I haven't got time for that. I've got to go and get the kids, and then I'm doing dinner, and then I'm going here, and then I'm going there, and I'm and I'm like, I get it. I know. But you giving yourself time, this is the most precious gift you can give to yourself. 5-10 minutes even. Build it up over the time, but you wouldn't miss an appointment with me because it would take you 6 weeks to get back in with me or whatever, or, book an appointment with yourself. And I made a patient actually do this. It was hilarious. I said, right, let's put it in your phone right now. 100%. Dr. Nupi's fun time. And she stopped at 1 o'clock every Friday to do something creative for 20 minutes, half an hour. But by doing that, the impact is that you feel better because you've done something you love to do. You're having fun. That's the whole point. It's on the F list for a reason. Dr. Arora says, I have to have fun. There's a power as well in going, I give you permission to do something fun 2 or 3 times a week. And guess what? I actually want to see what you've created or made next time you come in. And I do. That's exactly what I say. And once you start doing that, you're filling up your happy meter. So you're actually, oh my gosh, I feel rejuvenated. I feel better. It's a win-win. You're doing something you love doing. You're feeling better. You're going to want to do it again. And before you know it, all the other things that are your work, your job, I have to, you actually do them a heck of a lot more productively, more efficiently than you would do if you just kept working for those 20 extra minutes. That's how you give that time back to yourself. That's how you can capture pockets of time for yourself. And to come back to the story about my patient, so every time it's hilarious. every time she would change her phone, it was an upgrade or whatever, she'd always get this ping like 5 years later. Bing! Dr. Aurora's F list fun, 1 o'clock Friday, like this. And I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, I'm going to like haunt you for the rest of your life, aren't I? And she was like, yeah, but it's good because it keeps me on track. It's fine, kind of thing. And that's literally what you do. Set yourself that time for self. The next F is friends, which is all about connection. And connection, oh my gosh, human beings, we need to be in together. We need to have that element of connection, being seen, being heard, feeling valued. And it's the fine-tuning here of the connections that uplift you, that make you feel, as opposed to, oh my God, I don't know why I did that. I should have really not, because, oh my God, I feel like a drain. I'm drained of energy now. And in that comes a choice. And this is the whole point of this framework, is understanding you always have a choice and you get to take ownership of it. So it's assessing, okay, if I feel like this every time I go, but I'm putting myself in this situation as well, okay, next time I'm going to honor my true needs, and I don't really want to go. And if that means I stay in tonight, so be it. I'm honoring myself, I'm honoring my needs. So it's choosing your connections wisely. And that could be colleagues, relationships, work, all of this. The next 2 F's, it's nearly finished now, is flow and fabulous. So the flow is being in tune with yourself, your baseline needs, and being in a state of flow where you are, everything just seems to just happen. There's science behind that. You are wide awake, you're aligned with your baseline needs, you are aware, and it's with this expanded awareness that your mind, your body, your soul comes back into balance. And actually, that's where you become limitless in potential, because you're following exactly your passions, your purpose, the meaning, the value, which gives you joy in your life. And that's crucial. And it's also the connection you have, not just with yourself, with others, the big wide world around us, the bigger picture. Fabulous is all about vulnerability. And I always say to my patients or clients when they come in, no matter where you are in your journey right now, whatever the symptoms are that you're presenting with, the very fact that you've come and said and taken this on board, you are fabulous just as you are. Your vulnerability actually is your strength. And you know, it's learning to shift this mindset from, oh my God, if I ask for help, I'm weak, I failed, and all of this, just common. And I'm like, that's the bravest thing you could have ever done, actually. And we'll do this together. You're not on your own. That's the whole point. So the vulnerability of that. So I always say, and yes, you're fabulous. And 3 affirmations that come with my F list are, these are all about ownership. I will, I want to, because I am Missy Elliott worth it. And it's not the worth it like L'Oreal and like, yeah, I'm so worth it. It's not that. It's more sassy, it's more ownership, and it's like, I'm worth it, yeah, worth it, I deserve it, yeah. That's the worth it I mean, and it just comes with a different, oh yeah, I'm so worth it.
Conviction.
That's what I do with my patients. I literally, and clients, I'm actually going, yeah, tonight. But it's the ownership. It's removing this, it's the energy, the vibration of the words we use. Oh, I need to do. Says who? I would like to, perhaps. I should be doing this. Really? If you don't want to, then you need to tune into that. I choose to do this. It might make me feel like XYZ, but I've chosen this, so I accept that consequence. Take ownership. Because the whole thing is really, once you have this deeper understanding of yourself, your needs, taking ownership of them, knowing how to rebalance, knowing how to replenish them, keep all these needs topped up, that's when you become aligned with yourself. That's when you can radiate your own, I call it essence, it's your inner light, it's your inner energy. That's the glitter. And once that's radiating out, it spreads to other people. It's the ripple effect. And like glitter, it sticks and it spreads to somebody else, and then to somebody else, and to somebody else. Because when you're in tune with your whole self-health needs, the energy that comes from that, which is unconditional love, essentially, for self, and then everything else, that's the frequency people respond to. It becomes empowering, uplifting to the next person, and it changes your trajectory. It changes who you are, how you behave, which goes so far, it goes so long, and that is the whole process, really. I could talk about it for hours. I love it.
I mean, this has been really wonderful. There is so much wisdom here. You can tell how important all of this is to you, and how you have compiled it into the F list, which I love. Every time you talk about it, each of the individual parts of the framework, they are individually so important, but they are all interwoven. And so you can't, right, like, you need all of them to work together. And I agree with you. I feel like we could talk about this for hours. So if our listeners want to know more about Dr. Nupi, where can they go to find out more about you?
Sure. Well, thank you. And thank you, because yes, the F list, it sounds like, oh my gosh, it's not rocket science. It's really not rocket science. But the way I've, I guess, crafted it together and then explain it the way I do with patients, there's so much more behind it as well. It's the principles of, ownership, perspective, mindfulness. It's all evidence-based as well. And it's understanding, especially with trauma, present, past, and how you can move forward. And it's the navigation through it. That's what this encompasses. And that's why this is so powerful, and it works. Anyway, and the beauty about it, it's like, yeah, it's a list, but it's so much more than a list. It really is. And
much more, so much more.
Yeah. And that's almost tongue in cheek. And I'm like, here's a list that's going to change your life. And it actually is going to change your life. It is so much more than just a list. So you can get hold of me on LinkedIn mainly. I'm all over LinkedIn, and my profile is Dr. Nupi, the Glitter Practitioner. You can also email me. My email contact details are also on my LinkedIn About page. And apart from LinkedIn, I have my own channel on YouTube, also on Facebook and Instagram, and you can get hold of me at the Glitter Practitioner. I do 2 live stream shows. One of them is weekly, every Monday at 8 p.m. GMT, which is noon Pacific Standard Time, and that's live with the Glitter Practitioner. And Michael, it's been fabulous. You opened the series for 2023, so thank you very, very much for coming on.
There.
And then the second show that I do is every second Tuesday, which I co-host with my beautiful soul sister, Dr. Diana Londoño, who's a urologist in the States. And yeah, so we do that every second week. Is that everywhere? Yeah, and my Calendly link. So I always say, if people are feeling frazzled, fed up, my coaching program is essentially based on my F-list framework. You don't have to do the whole program, though. You can have a one-off consultation. I call it my Physessence consultation, which is a deep dive, essentially. But if you are recognizing you're feeling frazzled, you're fed up, it's like FFS the whole time, please know you can reach out. There is always help and support. That's the most important thing. It's free. My first consultation is free. And this is why I really always talk about my burnout story and the detail of it. Because if it helps one other physician to go, oh my God, I really recognize myself in that story. Yeah, okay, she gets it. Or I need to speak to somebody like her. Or, okay, I'm not on my own. Job done. Because it's heartbreaking. It really, truly is. Burnout has never been higher. The suicide rates have never been higher. And it just breaks my heart. And I'm like, no. Which is why I'm constantly going to be repeating my message of know your worth, own your needs, protect them, protect your energy like your life depends on it, stand in your power and live the life you desire and you actually deserve. And say no. You have to put your needs first. And there's a shift that's happening. And that's why this is why I speak about this. This is why my podcasts are all about this. And everything I do really is based on this message. So
yeah, I mean, you have perfectly summarized the exact reason why we are all here today, because I think this message comes in all different shapes and sizes, and it's so important for us to keep talking about these things to let physicians and everyone know that that their journeys look different, the symptoms look different, the feelings look different, but that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? There is something that you can be doing. And Dr. Nupi, it's been so great having you here today. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
No problem. Before we go,
yes.
I have to tell you, I know I'm a chatterbox, but I have to share with you, because I don't think I have actually told you, Michael and Arpita, why I am called the glitter practitioner, because it's the most commonest question everybody asks me. What's all that about? Do you sell glitter? And I'm like, no, but I could be a brand ambassador, just saying. So the reason I changed general practitioner to the glitter practitioner is because of 3 reasons. Number one, I am genuinely obsessed with glitter, as you can probably, I don't know if you can see. It's been my signature look like forever. So the little children who I was in clinical practice, and obviously they would give their mummies, and I was actually Princess Aurora because of Sleeping Beauty, Princess Dr. Aurora, I should say. And they'd do little pictures and there'd be splodges of glitter everywhere, this big round face. It was so cute. And then patients who had never seen me before would go back to reception and say, can I see that doctor again? The one with the sparkly stuff on their eyes kind of thing. So I've always done this. It's not just for now. Second reason is because the box breathing, when I'm holding space, tuning in with my heart, from my heart, and doing a couple of cycles of breathing, and then I know what's wrong. I can read it in I can see it in their eyes. I can feel it. And I'm taking them through a little bit of, the most important parts for them. And once we've done the breathing, and I'll grab their hands, just like we did at the start, just there, just then during this conversation, when they open their eyes, I can see that light, that glimmer of light coming back in their eyes. Oh my Lord. That's the glitter. And that's what I see. It's the energy of what I feel, the possessence. And that's healing. That's why I do what I do, because you combine it all together. You can change somebody's life. And that's exactly what this is all about, to be honest. So that's the glitter that I see in somebody's eyes. And then the third reason, patients would always say to me, Doc, it's like you sprinkle glitter. It's magic with your words. Just make it. And this is another time for the story behind it. But he was like, and this is a bloke as well, saying it's like you sprinkle glitter with your words and it just becomes magical. You say it in a way where it just makes sense. And everybody needs some glitter in their life, Dr. Arora. And the backstory from him, and this is why I was in tears, it's so profound. This guy came from a really, traumatic background, in and out of prison system, in and out of the care home system, no confidence in the health professionals he was seeing. He came to me on my emergency clinic just before the pandemic started. So I did my first consultation with him, and he's effing and jeffing, and he's like, oh my God, proper gangster, basically. Always been told he was going to amount to nothing. Never went through the education system. Anyway, year later, he's taking his meds regularly. He's applying all my F-list stuff, still waiting for therapeutic support because of the backlog. And it was one of his last reviews. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You stuck with it. He's doing so much better. He called me to say he'd got a job. And that was the first time he'd ever managed to get one. And that's when he said, Dr. Arora, I can't thank you enough. You've changed my life. You sprinkle words like glitter, and everybody needs glitter in their life. And for for this particular person to say this to me, you know, it wasn't lost on me at all. I was not expecting somebody from the background he'd had, from who he was as a personality, to go, everybody needs some magic in their life, kind of thing. And that's always stuck with me. It just moves me now even, and it was a good while ago. So those are my 3 reasons why I am called the Glitter Practitioner.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, thank
Sorry
you.
for taking extra time, but I had to tell you.
Of course. No, it makes total sense. Well, I really, really enjoyed hearing your story and hearing your
Thank
effort,
you.
all the details. And it is exactly how you say it and how you transfer that information with your words. That is so magical. But we
you.
really enjoyed having you. And thank you, Dr. Nupi.
Thank you so much. Seriously. Oh, thank you.
And thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time on Doctors Living Deliberately.